Ooh, welcome back, Chicken Nugget. Today I'm going to be reacting and explaining this cool video by Mr. Furu Finance. He had Sir Johnny Chaos, and they go through a lot of discussions here about pHEX, eHEX, should eHEX survive. Johnny lays out his thoughts here, and Mr. Furu's a bit on the sidelines, and I completely understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to help you see that everything is going to plan. But, you know, speaking of chicken nuggets, this is exactly where we are right now. And really, I want you to know, okay, it doesn't get any easier. I promise you. When your portfolio goes up, you're still going to be dancing on this cheeseburger with me here, okay? Even when it drops, huge returns. You know what's the difference between a bear market and a bull market in crypto? In the bear market, it goes down 90%. In a bull market, it only goes down 60%. That's it. It's still disgusting. Everything. It feels like a grift. It feels like a scam. It does feel like that. I'm not selling you a product, so obviously I don't really care, but I'm just, whenever you see me yelling, and I'm like, the anger, you just got to think, is he snapping because he wants to sell, or he's just snapping to snap? 90% of the times, 99.999% of the times, I'm just snapping to snap because it's fun, because you need an outlet. But you should always ask, you say, hey, I am here to confirm friendship, but also, is this a cause for concern? Should we be selling? Always ask yourself that. Most of the time, the answer's no. 99.99% of the times, you should not be selling. This is just what it is. But you can't sit here as a rational person and go, yeah, wow, it's a minus. Wow, I just lost minus 70% on a quote. That's great. Like, imagine someone just came and said to you, let's say God comes down, puts his giant hand on your forehead and says, hey, you're not actually worth what you're worth. You're worth a third of it. You're like, why? Why? Just because you came down and touched my forehead? What happened to yesterday? That's what it's like. Let's go to this video, baby dolls. I'm not going to watch all of it. But the main context here from Mr. Furu's video is we're discussing pHEX and eHEX, because everybody is seeing death and destruction. This is the actual live chart here. Let's put on a linear. Because log charts, they show you the truth long term, but they hide the pain. This is the pain when you put a linear chart. All right, look at this. Look at this. Just it's okay. It's okay. These things happen. All right. This isn't even the real price. If you account for the stock split, basically the double counting, really you're up to here. Okay, not like too much, but still, okay. But you got to look at this. You have to look at this. Prices go too expensive or too cheap. That's what humans do. We either overdo it or we underdo it. That's just how we are. Okay, so what about HEX on Ethereum? That was the eHEX chart. So let you know, right? So I am pretty confident HEX on Ethereum will survive and thrive. Okay, it's not gonna just like, oh, hang in there. Right? It's gonna do something that nobody's expecting, and that's because all the polls have HEX on Ethereum as the least popular. I was like, you know what? I've been in this game long enough. When I see that, something's gonna happen, friends. Okay, something's gonna happen. But it doesn't just like need to thrive. It really needs to survive, and I do mean need, because if it doesn't, the fear will spread. Okay, the fear will spread. People are gonna think, oh my god, my pHEX, should I even stake it more than 3 years? What if there has to be layer 2s on Pulse Chain and we got to move again? What happens? You know, all these things. And it doesn't matter. You can't say to me they are rational fears, because there is no such thing as a rational fear. Whenever we get the fear bug, that's it. Doesn't matter. People lose their minds. People will ask, oh my God, what about Pulse? PulseX, what about everything else? So it's a necessity for it to survive, okay? It's also a necessity for Bitcoin to survive, for the whole crypto industry, you know? Bitcoin is the shining light. It's the 14-year-old coin that does nothing, that's still around. It's a rock, literally does nothing, and the community haven't barely done any updates, and it doesn't do anything. And people say that's bad. No. It's bad. if you're trying to become a millionaire in a short term of time for most of you guys. But it's good for the whole crypto industry because you need that rock there to just not die, just stay there. It's the ultimate form of being conservative, which is funny because crypto's bleeding edge. But yes, we have our own ranges of conservative and like super woke bleeding edge type of behavior, all right? Bitcoin is like that. So HEX is modeled after Bitcoin, and in our community, HEX is the layer 0. HEX gives you the trustless yield. HEX is there, the oldest community. So even though you're going to look at eHEX and go, oh, golly gee, I can't do this and that. Doesn't matter. Bitcoin, same thing. Bitcoin is still twice the market cap of Ethereum. Ethereum has layer 1, has smart contracts. Ethereum's got layer 2s. Ethereum's got Ponzi's and layer 1 gaming and NFTs and all these other trash, all these leverage trading exchanges, fake DeFi, real DeFi, everything in between, dog coins, Pikachu coins, has all of it. And guess what? It still hasn't flipped Bitcoin. That's the power of having your pet rock that just doesn't die. Shout out to all my pet rocks out there. I know you're listening. So that is very important. You wouldn't think so. It's like the institution. Okay? Now, I want you to think about this. In society, do governments produce anything? Nah. Did the governments invent the electric cars? No. Do they invent fluffy slippers? No. Do they even wear fluffy slippers? No. But we need them there. Imagine what would happen if the government collapses. You're like, okay, well, it's all over. You know? So we call them useless on one hand, and then I ask you, okay, if I made it disappear tomorrow, how would you react? And I go, okay, I've lost my mind. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. This is humans. We love the stability, all right? So HEX on Ethereum, very important. Also a reminder, 20 months since that HEX all-time high, all the way down. Okay, so we're talking about HEX and pHEX. Now we have pHEX. People are asking, especially Mr. Furu here. Mr. Furu asks, like, hey, doesn't it take away from people putting in the money? A bit of yes and a bit of no. But I think it's a net value add. You know why? Because I'm going to go with the side of the billionaire who made a coin do 1000x from Uniswap listing, who did net value add billions of dollars. I think if he's worked it out in his mind that it's a net value add, I think you can just pretty much front run that idea. And I'm going to show you why. Okay, there's a lot of ideas to go why. So right now, this is what everybody's seeing. So the context, right? HEX is very heavy and it's at an enormous discount. But we are still slaves to the sentiment of Bitcoin and Ethereum price movements. A lot of people, not a lot of people, 99% of you are baby doll, baby cake munchins. A few people get offended when they hear this. They think, no, we're better than them. Well, let me tell you, Habib, Bitcoin is better than the stock market, but if the stock market poops, we poop too. And the stock market people say, what? We're better than the real economy. Who cares about them? And then if something else happens elsewhere, they get pooped too. The stock market people, God bless their souls, for the past 100 years, it's been like, oh, some bridge collapsed in Russia, and then that led a little butterfly effect, and then someone got diarrhea, and then a president got assassinated, and now no one wants to trade with a certain country, and the stock market just drops 20% off that. That's what they've had to deal with. So they've had to just sit there going like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? But it's all because fear spreads. When it's just time to go, it's time to go. Up and down. People are allocating capital and labor units. The market's always right. We just have to accept it, okay? So it's not like we're better or worse. We're just linked. We are just linked, okay? Just like how Richard has a fake brother out there. Shout out to Shane. You know what I mean? Like, you're linked. That's it. You can't change it. Okay, so yield farming can mitigate this. How do I know this? Well, if only there was an obvious sign out there where someone put ridiculously high APR rates to yield farm, and it would also help if he made something called Hart's Law, where he just kept talking over and over and over again about it for the past 2 years, about liquidity bonding and correlations. I wonder if someone also made a DEX website to release this. So if you can't get the point, you should be yield farming, all right? You should be yield farming. Richard, also the Ducks, they've mentioned this about 40 times now, okay? You can't make it any more obvious. It's the same as stake your HEX, long term. It's the same message, just it's a different target market now. So a lot of people are confused. If you're a HEX OG, you're like, what? These were all the sinners. These were all the actions of the sinners would come and yield farm and do this. Well, do you remember I made a video telling you, I think PLS to HEX ratio, Pulse might outperform HEX. Well, now you're going to see why. Because just like Ethereum was a hot news, here comes HEX as well, looking at Pulse, going like, what? What's this new stuff coming around? All the smart contracts, all the degenning, all the meme coins, all the yield farming, it's here. It doesn't take away from HEX. It adds value. Just like how did Ethereum take away value from Bitcoin? You might see some crossover, but it actually doesn't. It appeals to two different types of personalities. Trust me, I would not have believed it if you told me this when I first started. I'm just letting you know. That's the answer. You want to know the answer? We'll cut straight to it. Their net value add, okay? People from Bitcoin aren't rotating to buy Ethereum. There are still diehard maxis. Now, there's a lot of crossover, trust me. But they're fighting different causes. They're trying to find their own target market, right? That's exactly what they're doing. So you can think of it like, you know, there's different types of cologne. There's like a summer cool cologne. There's like an old man smell. You know, there's one that's like smells like a bubble gum. There's different ones, you know. It's the same thing here. It's crazy. But that's just how it is. It's just how the market all relates to each other, and there's different parts of sectors that will just never be vampire attacked away, okay? So when we're looking at this, PulseX has it all, and it's all by design. It's going to be carrying hexes, all right? It's going to be carrying. So we're looking at these big, fat, deep red candles, but look at this, okay? We're going to go through this. So we have some advantages coming, all right? So with pHEX, we can't let eHEX die. Look at the advantage of just having the P in the pHEX itself, the Pulse chain part. Okay, so now we have Pulse chain officially listed on OKEX, which is literally, this has broken all the precedents. HEX has been shadow banned everywhere. They don't even think twice about listing Pulse chain. They don't even think twice. Why? It's because Bitcoin's use case is so controversial, but the price is so high, they had to list it because they just wanted it for the money. HEX is just doing what Bitcoin did, but no one can get it because they're like, it doesn't do anything, right? But Bitcoin does that, but there's only one Bitcoin, all right? Now, it's easy for everyone to understand layer 1 chains. Here's where the scam is. It's not really scammy, but the scam is no one really knows that layer 1 chains have an enormous price premium just because of their gas fee usage, right? On top of their gas fee usage. So the monetary premium is a term applied to it. And it happens with gold as well. So gold's and if you talk about a monetary premium, so let's say you have this, okay? You have this rectangle box. This is like oil, for example. Oil has a lot of industrial use. Not many people store value in oil. But gold's inverse. Gold, its monetary value is this whole thing. That's its monetary value. And this thing is just gold industrial use case. It's the same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum's gas fee use is here, and everybody is actually storing value in Ethereum to use for smart contracts, okay? So this is something to keep in mind about, all right? But this is very controversial. This monetary premium, it's given by the market, but it can be taken away. So you might say, oh, but you know, we have a base floor, right? Yeah, but it'll be about $100 Ethereum, or probably $200, I think, at this price. Imagine that. Imagine we went to $200 Ethereum. That's your fair price. Wouldn't that suck? Everyone gets destroyed. Now you see why the Ethereum people don't want to make the gas fees too low. Because when you make it more like a commodity out there, then that monetary premium gets chewed away. You see that monetary premium this size? It gets chewed away, friends. They don't want their price to go down for Ethereum. All right? So everybody can understand this. That's why they listed Pulse chain. They understand the game. Nobody says about Ethereum, oh, excuse me, the gas fee usage is like 16% of the Ethereum price and the monetary premium is enormous. No one says that because they don't get it. They think just because there's a use case, it explains everything, and that is completely wrong. But they don't know that. That's okay. Leave them in the dark, okay? So effectively, Ethereum's price is like, what, 1,700 now? Perhaps, I think it's around, if you attribute just its utility gas, it might be like just 20% of that. So $250 to $250 to $450 is literally just the use case part. Everything else is just people holding it because they want to hold it, which is the imaginary Fugazi part. So you can actually make that gas fee usage even lower and it would blow your mind more. But then you have Bitcoin. Then you literally have Bitcoin. You just have something that's purely store of value. This is why these things get so controversial. So as more exchanges get comfortable to list, the influencers will also feel comfortable to talk about Pulse and add it to their portfolio. And that's when we'll see PulseX pump and we'll get more attention. So I even have the eHEX to HEX ratio here. You can find this on dexscreener.com/pulsechain. Remember, you get USD prices here, friends. Click on this button, switch to price in HEX. It lets you see whatever the ratio is of the or whatever pair you're looking. And I have it on a 4-hour. And you see this. This is pretty honestly, this is pretty much parity. Like I just drew this line as 0. So yeah, it'll probably hover around up and down. So we go up and down, up and down. That's pretty much parity, up and down, people playing around. But over time, as the market gains its senses and confidence, remember, I haven't been out for a month. It's crypto. There's inefficient pricing everywhere. You expect these guys to price it normally. They got no idea what they're doing. They're like, oh, okay, whatever. No one even understands that eHEX is literally pHEX community. It should have the same price. Metcalfe's law, right? They should be valued the same. There's actually no reason why they shouldn't be valued. But that's, and it's not from their use case or anything. It's just, it's the same community. Okay. Tell me, people, do you see anybody shilling, whoa, pHEX, the revolution? Do you see them? No, it's just HEX. It's the same thing. But it'll take time for the market to realize it. And when we look at this liquidity bonding, okay, this is the most important part. On one hand, people think, hey, if eHEX and pHEX exist, it takes money away. No, it doesn't. All right. We split the Richard Heart ecosystem into 4 pillars. Look at all this liquidity. You have PulseX Pulse, 165 million. You can go down eHEX and pHEX is 63 million. This is bonding of them, right? HEX to Pulse. Now, this is the key. This links them all. So if eHEX and pHEX are linked, and then you took one of them and linked it to Pulse, all you got to do, baby dolls, is pump that PLS price. And here's PulseX and Pulse. They're all linked. Everything is linked together. So you have a spear. I have a liquidity bonding video. Feel free to go and find it and watch it. You definitely want to see it. You know, you have all the coins, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you have one spear. So all the coins are bonded like an atom. And here is PLS DI. Maybe it's just DIA. There you go. That's the spear. If it moves up, oh, we're dragging the whole ecosystem up. Uh-oh, someone's taking profit, taking us all down. Yes, this is how it has to be done. eHEX and pHEX move by the same principle. They're bonded together. All right, they're bonded together. They're going to rotate around. But you might say, hey, does it take away from the money coming in? No. Okay, because this is the crazy part. You have an ecosystem altogether. This is like you living in a city. Let's say you owned a city. You're entitled to all the profits of a city, right? If a business starts in the city, let's say a business comes in, right? And there's already like a McDonald's here where we all work. So then a business comes and starts. Would you say that business is taking money from McDonald's? So on the surface, on a micro level, you might say, yes, it's taking money from McDonald's because people are going to buy lipstick instead of buying nuggets. True. But if you open your mind, maybe that lipstick shop, it attracts more people coming in from the outside that you couldn't see, all right? You know, that's what you don't see, okay? So you might say, okay, well, pHEX and eHEX, yes. Is it possible that they link something else, all right? Now you want to know what it is. What is it? Tell me what it is. I'm going to tell you what it is because you're a baby doll, baby cake. The answer comes to the world's biggest farming airdrop. eToken, pToken. There we go. This is it, okay? This is what's happening on PulseX, okay? World's biggest farming airdrop. That's what it is. It's the biggest farming airdrop. Yield farming on PulseX. Airdrop because you got given the pToken already. No one's ever done that before. It's like, hey, come and farm this money for free. And by the way, you need a token. And by the way, I've already given you that token. No one's ever done this. Such a very simple idea. You'd think an elementary school like teacher had to teach kids this, but this is crazy. No one's ever done it before. All right, now it is. Now we get to see it. The eToken and pToken pair. What do you think the first community is going to be looking at before they start speculating about their eToken and pToken pair, you know exactly what it is. Okay, it's HEX on ETH, HEX on Pulse. That's exactly what they'd be looking for. Okay, this is exactly, baby dolls, what they'd be looking for. So when you're looking at this HEX, if you are just looking at this in a one-dimensional way, you're never going to see the full picture ever, because you're just going to think, oh man, if people put money in a HEX on ETH, they're not putting your money in a HEX on Pulse and it gets split. No. pHEX, eHEX send a signal to the market. Do you remember back here, you got your little lipstick shop? Look at all these people coming in, okay? Look at all these people coming in, all right? They are all coming in to the city, all right? They don't want, these women, they don't want to buy nuggets. They like sumo salad, okay? They don't want to touch McDonald's, but they're coming in, all right? And they might come in and be like, wow, look at what else is in the city. You see them just asking the question. Well, it's the same thing with here. When the first eToken and pToken community comes in and we actually be like, oh, wow, guys, it's working. Wink, wink. Let's see what happens. And we see it. I don't know. It could be P-Link and E-Link. It could be eShib, pShib. I don't know. Who could be anyone. Someone not on our radar. When they come in and they start getting big success, they're going to be looking at eHEX and pHEX and go, wait a minute. If HEX, this is what they're thinking in their mind, okay? I'm not joking. They'll say, wait a minute. If a religious Ponzi cult like HEX, a coin that inflates itself and does nothing and should be worth zero, if that has parity, maybe our coin, which is useful, can be worth more. Now, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they don't even know that their coin themselves is also a Ponzi and it has no use case, and they've just tricked themselves into thinking that their utility is somehow righteous and going to gain value. But don't worry about that part. They don't know that part yet. They can figure that out deep in 2025 when their coin doesn't pump as much, okay? Or maybe 2026. But we know the truth, all right? This is the signal it's going to send, okay? Too many advantages. Now do you see why at the beginning of this video I said, if you follow the path of a duck who may or may not be the origin address, who may or may not be a billionaire, who may or may not have had this long successful streak of figuring out masterminds about whether something is net value add or reduction. If you follow that string, that path, you will get to this conclusion. I've done this whole video for you. Now, this is why I'm just a peanut brain with a little salty crystal, and he out there knows what he's doing, because he can figure this out in like 4 seconds, and I need like 30 minutes. Now, if you compound this to like 17 decisions, me and you'll be sitting there with a chalkboard, drawing crayon pictures on the walls, going like, hey, is 2 + 2 4, or is it 5 - 1? You know, we're still figuring that part out. He's already thinking about the game in 2.5 years from now. Okay, so this is where I'm saying you don't actually need to understand all of this. You just got to promise me, even when you panic, even when you see this stuff, don't click sell. Okay, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're a baby doll, baby cake munchkin, and hey, if you really want to watch this video, it's pretty cool. Explains a lot. Like and subscribe, bell button all.